Welcome everyone to the first annual GaLAxy Family Discord Podcord. And with us, we have famous podcasters in the GaLAxy community, like Communi-G, G30, GaLAxy Guy, and a couple of Instagram GaLAxy News Instagram pages like Everything GaLAxy and Total LA GaLAxy. Again, thank you all for coming. And just to kind of get to know everyone, I guess we can start off like telling us your story of what made you a GaLAxy fan or create your podcast or your platform to show, your interest in the GaLAxy. Chris, would you like to start?
Sure, man. First of all, I want to say thanks a lot, G-Man, for putting this together. It's a very unique concept. I also kind of privileged to be among all of you guys. I listen to all your podcasts. I just hope that, I have enough time during my week, because it seems like there's more podcasts now, which is a good thing because, more GaLAxy content, right? I've been a fan since 96, since I was a little kid. Some of you guys already know my story, but 1995 was when my family migrated here from El Salvador, and 1996 was the first season for the GaLAxy, and Mauricio Cienfuegos was part of that team. So we had a natural attraction to the team, and we've been fans ever since. As far as why I started a podcast, well, it's simple. I just wanted to be closer to the team. I just like talking about the LA GaLAxy. My background is with Reddit. I used to put, post-game analysis and all that, stats, whatnot, funny stories, funny memes on Reddit. So it's just a natural transition to go into podcasting, but that's me.
Oh, thanks, Chris. And next, Nelson, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, man. Thank you for having us. I'm Nelson, or Count, and we're G30, and I'm having a really great time with my brother Mike and our friend Tim, kind of doing our thing, trying to add to the GaLAxy universe of podcasts. Like Chris, it's funny, like a couple of years ago, it's like, there's two podcasts and you listen to them by Thursday and it's like you're dry until game day on the weekend, right? So we'd talk about the GaLAxy anyway. We'd have long text conversations, and we started thinking like, you know what, let's just do the pod thing. Chris, I come from the Reddit side too. I know that's a little bit of a different world, but I was a reader of yours, and it's cool to finally be on here and getting to know each other. And I know you as Hugh, and it's super cool. And like Chris, we're just trying to expand the world of GaLAxy fandom with G30. I came in around 08, 09, really hopped in 10, and by 10, 11, it was sealed in. So I'm not a 96er, but I've been with the team for about 11, 12 years now, and it's awesome to finally be doing something where I can, we can all try and bring the community closer.
Sounds good. Thank you, Nelson. So, Kevin, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Kevin. You know what? Funny story is I've been following the team as long as I can remember. I was born in 93, and I have pictures going to the stadium in 96, but I don't really remember. But I feel my clearest memories are starting like in 1999. I have like clear memories from that point forward. So I followed the GaLAxy my whole life. And now I'm one of the guys that does Communi-G and now La Hora Galáctica. And with Communi-G, the idea was simple. It's just tell the stories of other GaLAxy fans, because I feel we all have a story, and also spotlight those that have businesses or are content creators. Like, for example, yesterday we had 12 Threads, we've had Countercode, and we have other people we want to have as well. And we've had people like Chapin, who we brought him in to tell the story of how he became a GaLAxy fan and his jersey collections, and now he became a co-host. And with our second podcast, La Hora Galáctica, it was simple. It's because there's no Spanish GaLAxy content, and if we could help start that, my ultimate goal is for them to be the same as English, where there's like tons of podcasts. So if we could help pave that way, I think that would be great.
Oh, Thank you, Kevin. Mike, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I'm 1/3 of the G30 trio, and both of the boys are here today. So it's great to be here with all of you guys and be able to shoot the shit a little bit. And so essentially, my path with the GaLAxy and my story with them is that a lot of it has been inherited through my brother, who at a very young age, like I would just sort of watch him go to the stadium. And one of my first games was the GaLAxy against the Timbers, and Beckham scored that ridiculous goal. And from there on, I've just sort of started to pay more attention. And along with the podcast side of things, it's my brother had mentioned that we have just been having these conversations for so long. We just sort of thought we'd hop on Zoom, get a few microphones and talk and put it out. And you guys have been incredibly receptive to all three of us. So hopefully we can continue on that path.
Nice. And Timmy?
What's up? I'm Timmy. I'm happy to be here with all you guys. I used to listen to you guys a lot back then. For those of us that had a podcast for a while, and I would say I started becoming a for real G fan in 2012. But I would watch the GaLAxy here and there. But I was because back then I was a little kid, so I was like, oh, I love the GaLAxy, this and that. But I really started to get into it around 2012 when they won that comeback cup, when they made that push around the second half to win the MLS Cup. And ever since then, I've just been in love. And as my fellow G30 boys know, I love David Beckham. David Beckham is my GaLAxy GOAT. And how I got started with G30, I guess the homie Mike, he invited me to come on the podcast because I've always had such a great knowledge of the GaLAxy, and I just never had a platform to, display that. And G30 pretty much helps me, display that knowledge. And, I'm forever grateful for it.
Nice. Beckham's definitely a good choice if you want to choose your GaLAxy GOAT. If you didn't know, Bloppy, he has two personalities. Like, depending on which side of the bed he wakes up, he's either Bloppy or he's Doc Mustaphins on Twitter. He breaks earth-shattering news, and he's also one of our mods. So, Doc, would you like to kind of introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I basically started this with G-Man a few months back, and we just thought it would be a fun idea. So we didn't really expect it to turn into anything like this, but we're happy it has, because we enjoy doing it and hope to continue.
Nice. And our next guest is Micah. He runs the Everything LA GaLAxy News IG. If you don't follow him, you should definitely follow him. Micah, would you like to tell your?
Yeah, so I run the LA GaLAxy, Everything LA GaLAxy IG account. And I started that in 2018 when Zlatan was here. I started becoming a fan in 2011. And that was really exciting with the David Beckham era. But of course, what many people don't know about me is I don't live in California. So I live in Atlanta, which is, I don't know, I express kind of a different point of view about soccer. So yeah.
Thanks. It's definitely good to hear, soccer from a different perspective, as we definitely, respect you being in Atlanta and being a GaLAxy fan from Atlanta in the East Coast. And next is Manny from Communi-G.
Yo, what up? My name's Manny. I'm 1/3 of the Communi-G podcast. This is new to me with all this podcast world and Discord stuff. Been a GaLAxy fan since 2014, officially. I always followed the team, but I never really went to the stadium or anything until 2014. And it was Landon Donovan's farewell. He was retiring, so I knew I had to go see him. He's my favorite American player. And ever since I went to the first game, I became a season ticket holder. And then that's pretty much it, Then just started creating some stuff here and there with the family, or the LA GaLAxy family. That's my journey.
Nice. And our last and final guest is from Total LA GaLAxy. He's he's half of them. It's Alex.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Like G-Man said, I'm one half of Total LA Galaxy. I primarily do a lot of video content for the page and also on my personal YouTube. To talk about when I got started as a Galaxy fan, I would say probably around 2016. I was a little too young to really grasp the David Beckham days. So I really started to kind of like watch the team more when we kind of had Robbie Keane and Landon Donovan. The team was rolling. I paid attention to the team, but I wasn't as focused on it as I am today. My goal for our page is to kind of just get it growing, and a goal for me is to kind of get to know more of the Galaxy community here this upcoming year. I'm really excited to cover this upcoming season, so I'm pretty hyped about it.
Okay, nice. And I guess before we start this Podcord, do you guys like have any particular music you like to listen to before game day or during the tailgate that you like to share with all of us?
I'm surprised nobody said Randy Newman yet.
Yeah, that's a big question, man. That's a big question. I don't know. I'm sure we all have a wild variety of music taste here.
Well, who's gonna break it first? Yeah, I'll go. I listen to Tupac the whole time.
I'm a huge reggae fan, so when I drive to the stadium, I listen to reggae.
Nice.
I'll break the silence as well too. Not too fond of older rap, but I know we have a few older guys here. Being a younger G, I like bumping a lot of Lil Uzi Vert, as you can tell by my profile picture on Discord.
I'll go. We do a little bit of Atmosphere coming in.
Oh, Atmosphere is dope. He's dope.
I like to listen to a lot of like turn shit before I go. So like a lot of Travis Scott, a lot of Waka Flocka Flame, a lot of old school West Coast shit. Anything West Coast I listen to before a game, but anything turn as well, just to get the energy going. That's what I'll be listening to.
Also, we'll throw on some Murs too because he reps hard for us as well.
Yeah,
for real.
Rep Murs.
I put in some cumbias in there too. Mix them up.
Ahí está, con eso.
Hey, Jalen Neal.
I feel like the odd man out because usually on my way to the stadium, I'll put in a podcast, even if I already heard it, if it's straight from the stands, corner of the Galaxy, whoever it is, I'll like re-listen to it on my way to the stadium. But once being at the stadium, I think at the tailgate, a lot of times it's cumbias and stuff like that too.
Zoidberg mentioned he listens to Seventh Nation Army to kind of get used to that, since that's the scoring anthem. If for those that haven't been to a Galaxy game. But yeah, that sounds good. I guess we'll start the Podcord, and for those that just came in, you'll get an opportunity to hop on in the voice chat and chop it up with us. But you can always leave your comments in the Podcord comments, and we'll read them as well. So the first question, so all you guys leave the stage, and I'll introduce the first question, and whoever agrees with it will raise their hand, and you'll get your chance to speak, and then the opposing side will get their chance to speak. So the first question I want to ask you guys is, would you consider this current team a rebuild or restructure? So for the first, raise your hand if you consider this a rebuild.
All right. Who goes? I go first or what?
Yeah, sure. You can go first. Go for it.
I think this is a restructure. It can't be a rebuild when we have our DPs already kind of signed up already. We would have the third DP already if it wasn't for the legal issues that we have with Pavon. Otherwise than that, it's restructured because now we have actually contracts with our players, not loan players. So it cannot be a rebuild unless you're bringing 3 new DPs, in my opinion.
I agree with Manny. No more bandages. This is a restructure. As you all know, Greg Vanney, I've also talked about it on the podcast as well, that Greg Vanney has kept his word on rebuilding from the back, which is what he's been doing, and he's been rebuilding the place from the back. And I'm just glad that there's no more bandages because, I mean, they were cool for a little while, but now we have a dead set on team that we can look forward to the future.
Okay. Nelson or Mike, any thoughts?
I'm gonna agree with Tim on a restructure because I feel like I feel like it's a restructure on all aspects of the game. I feel from the coaching level, to the new ideas that Vanney has in place, and these guys sort of adhering to it and making it one cohesive unit. From the preseason games, we've seen them sort of adapt to this Vanney style that he wants to employ, which is a whole lot of first touch and like break the back line. And I feel that if we all adhere to it, it's more of a restructure rather than completely scrapping an idea. So, yeah.
I'm of course I'm contrarian. I wanted to go rebuild. I think I messed up, but can I go rebuild right now?
Wait, you can go after. So let everyone that believes it's restructure speak, and then you'll get your time to shine.
Cool. I'll back out.
I'll back out as well. I totally think it's a rebuild.
Okay. So does anyone else think it's a restructure?
Yeah, I would say it's a restructure. We have, I would say, a bit of our core back from the last couple of seasons. If you want to look like at a complete rebuild, you can kind of look at the New York Red Bulls, right? That whole core they had of Kleshton, BWP, and Dax McCarthy, right? Like all those players from that team are gone. Like that team is completely rebuilt. Our team is in a restructuring mode because last year, right, the results weren't there. We just couldn't perform on the pitch. This year, we have a new coach, new system in place, and we actually have a coach who preaches about having a distinct play style and playing as one unit. So I would say this is a restructure with a better environment for all the footballers on our team.
Okay. Kevin, are you here for a restructure?
Yes, I'm here for a restructure. I think if they wanted to rebuild, the opportunity was there. But I think they didn't take it because just judging by the roster, when the season ended, they only had 12 players under contract. But then they decided to pick up some options and then bringing a few new players. So really, this team has about 10 new players. And they could have had the opportunity to have closer to 20 if they really wanted to clean house, but they didn't do so. So I think it's more of a restructure, bringing someone in that has a better mentality, better environment, changing the culture slowly. But yeah, I believe that it's a restructure.
All right. So the restructure group, they're going strong with their arguments. So the rebuild squad has to bring it. So people who believe it's a rebuild, raise your hand.
Can I tee this one off, G?
Sure.
Yeah. So it's funny. I think it's a rebuild for a lot of the same reasons that people think it's a restructure. Like, I think it's a rebuild because think about the starting lineup, the philosophy, the coach. Like, so much of it is new. Sure, we're carrying some of the water from like the Pipo contract, or like, the DPs are the same for the most part, with the exception of Cabral, right? But if you think about it, in the starting lineup, Cabral's new, Grancer's new, assuming Williams is new, the potential of Koulibaly is new, right? Villafana is new, maybe Saldana is in there. We don't know. We'll see tomorrow, right? But out of 11 players, we're looking at half of them are half of our starting lineup is new with the new philosophy. It just feels to me like a reset, and that's why it feels of a build, a fat build, but a rebuild.
Yeah, and I would totally agree with you on that. And you actually took the words right out of my mouth, because looking at that roster and the players that have come in, 6 out of those players that have come in are starters, right? You take Kevin Cabral is without a doubt a starter. Samuel Granci is a starter. Jorge Villafana is a starter. Derek Williams will be a starter. Victor Vasquez is on the older side, but he's going to be a starter based off of everything that he said, everything that Greg Vanney has said so far. It's looking like he's going to be a starter. You have Jonathan Bond, who is unquestionably our starting goalkeeper. And that's so far, right? That's half of the team so far. That's not counting Koulibaly, who might be coming soon. That's not counting other players that Greg Vanney has hinted at wanting. They're still pursuing anywhere from 3 to 4 more players, and that's maybe towards the end of this transfer window or sometime in the summer. But you're looking at possibly a team with about 8 or 9 brand new starters that we haven't had before. And, you look at the front office as well with the coaching staff. Greg Vanney, we know him, right? Dan Kalikman, we know he came with Vanney. Nick Thesloff also came with Greg Vanney. He used to be an assistant coach with him back in Toronto. He's now an assistant coach with him in the LA Galaxy. You have Jason Bent, who's also an assistant coach that's following Vanney from TFC. You have Kevin Hartman, who of course has the connection with Vanney from the early days. So the coaching staff is entirely new. You're starting from scratch there. And again, we're looking at a team that by summer will have anywhere from 8 to 9 brand new starters this 2021 season.
Okay, interesting points. Would all the podcasters in GaLAxy Media like to hop in and say your last thoughts?
Can I counter that?
Yeah, definitely. And while you counter it, everyone else can request to hop on.
Which I understand that whole rebuilding that Chris just said. But like you said right there, if you look at the main pieces that we've had from the last couple of years that were under contract, were our DPs, right? And our front office, which is President Chris Klein and DTK, are still there. So under a rebuild, that means we will need a new president to help guide these new contracts. Because right now we don't know who's doing these contracts. Before we would say it was GBS, we kind of find out that it wasn't really GBS. So until that front office is gone, then it's from my perspective, it will be a rebuild.
Before we go on, I'm so sorry I missed Everything GaLAxy. Everything GaLAxy, would you like to say your thoughts?
Yeah, so I think it's a rebuild or a big start to it because if we look to the future, our DPs, we know Kevin Cabral, he's a huge contract. You look at guys like Chicharito and Jonathan Dos Santos, I don't think they're with us next season. I think Chicharito moves on to Mexico, and then Jonathan Dos Santos might follow. So I think next year we could see possibly 2 new designated players that are going to shape this team massively.
It's the way you worded that in the beginning is perfect. You said it's the start of a rebuild, and that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think that this team really is transitioning more into rebuild soon. Like everything LA Galaxy mentioned, we might not have 2 big players under contract next year. So I can kind of really see this being as kind of a bridge year from where we have, kind of our core for a season and then transition into newer players. We're getting Cabral and Granzier. So I really think that Vanney's going to slowly transition this team into a rebuild where probably like a year or 2 from now, like none of the starters or most of the older starters from the last couple of seasons will no longer be on the club.
Okay, very interesting points. I guess last call, if anyone wants to speak their piece, we can move on. Okay, so we're going to move on. If everyone could please leave the stage. So the next question is, last year, the Galaxy didn't have a positive goal differential. Greg Vanney, he kind of mentioned he wants to focus on defending and attacking, and if they don't have the ball, they want to win it away. But when I was looking at his tenure at Toronto FC, his last 3 years, the goal differential was in single digits. In 2020, they had a goal differential of 7. 2019, it was 5. And 2018 was -5. I know that goal differentials isn't, the only stat that determines whether a team has a good defense or not. But do you think this year the Galaxy will have a positive goal differential, or maybe a goal differential in the double digits like when they used to dominate the league. So first, we'll take the group that believes, yes, the GaLaxy will have, a very high goal differential. And then the second group will be no. Okay. So just Manny and Kevin. Okay, so just Manny and Kevin are the optimistic ones. I'm pretty optimistic too. I think we'll have a positive high goal differential. What are your guys' thoughts?
Go ahead, Kevin. Lead this one.
I think that the team will have a positive goal differential because I feel we've gotten significantly better in goal. And of course, the problem was not just the keeper, but I feel that once we get Williams in, I think that's going to help out defensively. With the rumors of another center back coming in as well, that's going to help. Also, Julian Araujo is more. I'm pretty sure he's a little more mature, a little more experience under his belt. On the left side, I feel with Villafania, it's very similar to what Insua used to provide. But especially with the goalkeeper coming in, I think that's going to help us out. And then looking at the other side of the ball, I expect Samuel and Kevin to help out in the attack and set some things up for Chicharito, because we know last year he didn't get much on the scoring sheet. So I'm being optimistic that Chicharito will have a better year this year, and that's just going to help that goal differential be on the positive side.
Okay, those are some good points. Anyone else like to chime in? Nelson,
I'll take
Timmy.
this.
Okay. Oh yeah, Manny. Sorry.
I'm gonna agree with a little bit what Kevin said. Looking at the players that we have at our back line that came in, right? You have Bond that has showed that he can be a top flight goalkeeper in this league. I haven't seen Derek Williams really play. Villafania is a 2-time MLS champion, I believe. So he understands that how to win certain games when it gets tighter. Julian Araujo, he has to have a great season for us because a lot of teams are looking at him. So in order for him to make that jump, he has to have a great season. He can't have this red card anymore. Now you look at like I said, Derek Williams. He's played in the championship league, which he's always fighting promotion. So you have to be able to compete in that aspect. He's not in the bottom of the table in the championship league. And then you put some people that are hungry that want to play. You have the Pew that wants to play. He showed promising some games last season. We have Daniel Costa coming back to back up Villafania now. He wants to play. He missed the whole season. So I think we have a good core. And then now you mix in another defender that's coming in. So either people, Stairs, or the Pew, either they step it up or they're going to get shipped out.
Yeah, I think those are very good points. Anyone else want to take a crack at this?
Yeah, sure. I think I'll go. I think their backline is definitely better than it was in the past. I don't think they might not be as good going forward without Pavone. But I think at the back with Williams and Araujo and Bond, I think those are really good pieces. And I think the defense, hopefully, will be solid this year.
I'm gonna say this: we pretty much have a whole new backline this season, minus Araujo. But Araujo, we can all agree that Araujo was pretty much like one of the shining stars of last season. So seeing a whole new backline is pretty refreshing to. I believe I can't speak for all of us, but I think it's refreshing to see a whole new backline. I was at first thinking like, because Chicharito worried me in the preseason because he didn't score a lot. But then I realized, oh, hey, we have Jonathan Bond in goal now. We don't have David Bingham anymore. A lot of our starting center backs, quote unquote, are going to be most likely benched if Koulibaly comes in. So I'm a lot more optimistic that we will have a higher goal differential.
So I'm going to piggyback off of Tim there. I'm with you, Tim. And I agree with a lot of what Manny said too, right? Like there's a lot of competition on that back line. It's deeper than it's been in a long time. I don't think we will have a high goal differential. I would not be surprised to see the single goal differential that Vanney has kind of posted in Toronto. The biggest difference being Bond. I think we are all going to be shocked and already have been shocked a little bit in preseason at how effective a vocal goalkeeper is, right? Like the past 2-3 seasons, they're all, you get scored on and everyone's pointing the finger, right? Bingham's yelling at people, like the center backs are looking up into the sky or in the dirt, right? Like Bond is organizing the line, and I think that will make a difference. I don't think it will be a huge difference, but I think we will have a small positive goal differential.
Yeah, so I'm gonna piggyback on what he just said. I think we're not gonna have a high differential, but we're not gonna lose games 6-2 like we did last year. I think we're gonna find a way to score goals and prevent goals from happening. I think we have great depth and really a good midfield that's gonna be able to control games better than last year. So I don't think we should have a lot of blowouts.
Okay, it's nice to hear your guys' inputs. Before I invite the other group that thinks we'll have a lower goal differential, maybe even negative goal differential, I like to introduce Shapin, my boy from Communi-G. He's kind of he came a little late, but we're gonna let it slide because he's the man after all. But yeah, so now those that believe the Galaxy will have a very low goal differential, maybe even negative, I'd like to welcome you to the stage.
Hey. Is it possible I can start off on this?
Yeah, go for it.
So the important thing to remember, right, when you're talking about goal differential is you actually have to score goals, right? So I don't want to sound pessimistic or negative at all. I just want to point out that there are a lot of questions to be asked of this LA Galaxy team. There's a lot of what ifs and there's a lot of uncertainties, right? You talk about Kevin Cabral. He had a pretty decent season last season with Valenciennes, but in total, at 21 years old, he's only scored 10 goals as a professional soccer player. Now, we're hoping that he lives up to the potential that we've seen in the highlights, and we're hoping that he can score, he can continue that goal scoring streak, right? But 10 goals is unproven. That's not a proven player. It's not a proven goal scorer yet, right? You take Samuel Grandsir as well. He has in his career, he is 24. He's been playing a little bit longer. He has a total of 18 goals as a professional soccer player. So there's a big what if with that as well. These players are coming from a different league, from a different country. The language is going to be different. We don't know if they'll be able to adapt and play and thrive with the LA Galaxy yet because they're not total proven goal scorers yet, right? And then, of course, the big man up top, Javier Chicharito Hernandez himself. Honestly, I haven't been impressed very much with what I've seen in preseason, and he still can't seem to be able to buy a goal. So that's not very reassuring, right? You look at other players who are at that, you'd say that caliber of striker, guys like Rui Diaz, who he hasn't lost a step. He's still a top striker in the league, even though it's the first game of preseason. You're seeing guys that are sharp. Chicharito's been training all his entire offseason. He's had a personal trainer. He's had a personal dietitian. He's had a team of people helping him out. And it hasn't translated into goals, right? So there's a lot of what ifs with this team and that offense that don't really put a lot of confidence in my heart yet. And again, I don't want anybody to misunderstand this. I hope for the best. I hope that Samuel Grandsir comes and scores 15 goals. I hope that Kevin Cabral comes in and scores 15 goals. And I really do hope Chicharito scores at least 16 or more, So, but I just don't see it yet, So we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, Chris really took my point from me. I was about to say that too, because the last conversation was really focused on the defensive end. Chris really talked about offense too. I've been watching preseason. He took my point again, saying I'm not 100% sold on Chicharito just yet, right? I know it's just preseason, but we really got to take into account how good of an attacking team we must be in order to have this positive goal differential. I've said on countless times on our account and on my videos that I think this year is going to be a lot of growing pains where our team might be inconsistent, but it'll be a learning experience for everybody. So I'm really, I'm not I don't think we're gonna have a negative goal difference, but I really think it'll be in like around positive 5-7 range, I think. But I really think I need to see a lot more from the attacking end in order to solidify that we'll be decent up front.
Yeah, I mean, what more else can be said? I mean, Total LA and Chris really hit it on the nose. Where on paper, our back line is promising, but being the GaLaxy and knowing us, things will take a while to get the ball rolling. And like you guys said, you need to score goals, which we have not seen at all during preseason. We have not seen anyone come in at the attacking spot or any of the three attacking positions and solidify and like stamp their mark on the game and have a commanding performance. So for me, it's more the fact as like if you two guys, if Chris and Total LA don't want to be seen as the pessimist, I'll completely take it on, because over at G30 I'm very much the pessimist one of the bunch, but none of it is convincing. None of it is convincing at all for me. And I feel like I turn on the games and I see the same old performance from whoever we have up top. It's no service, which hopefully Grandisser and Cabral can provide. But if we continue at this rate, I don't see us making a very big step or very big improvement from where we were at last season in terms of bleeding goals. And like I said, I hope that Cheech scores goals. I like to hate on Cheech, but at the end of the day, he's sort of our guy. So unless we see some good support for Cheech and our back line steps up to what we imagine them to be, I think we'll be okay.
Yeah, interesting thoughts. Would everyone like to join the stage to say their last thoughts about the topic before we move on?
Well, they all made good points, and everybody great points of view. But one thing that comes into mind when I look at these two players that we signed, obviously are wingers to help out Cheech. They have pace. They can control the ball. They can take on one-on-ones, and I think that's what we need. Because if we look at history, it got easier for Zlatan when Pavon came, because they had a man mark him now. They had to leave him alone. Right now, Cheech, everybody's just waiting for him inside the box. He's not a player that's gonna come down and create like a Zlatan, like a Rudy Diaz. He's not gonna do that. He's more like an altador player, and I think Greg Vanney knows that. He can hold the ball, 1-2, feed him inside the box. And if you can create one-on-ones on the wings, you don't need the wingers to score 15 goals. With 8 and a couple assists to Victor Vasquez to feed them the ball, to feed Chicha, I think we can create that. Our midfielder within Vasquez, Seba, and Jonah, I feel that I'm confident that we can keep the ball, that we won't lose it as much, and we can create these one-on-ones on the wings that can actually cross the ball. Hopefully, if they can cross the ball on the ground, not in the air because he's not that big, on the ground and actually feed Chicha to get his 12 goals this season. That's what I'm marking, 12 goals for him.
Sure.
Yeah, I agree with Manny. On the wingers part, the wingers are supposed to help create chances, which I believe they will do for Chicharito. I'm going to play a little bit of a devil's advocate on my earlier point that I was a little bit scared for Chicha because, he didn't really score. He had the chances, but he just could not put them away. I guess you could say he was unlucky in sort of a way. But what I noticed in Cabral specifically, and I know they're just highlights, but I just wanted to point it out because it really stands out to me from like a winger perspective that he's a ball winner. And winners and wingers are very hard to find, I believe, these days. So I believe that once Kevin Cabral wins the ball in like a defensive kind of way, kind of like similar to like what Pavon kind of did in the first season he came here, I believe that it could help in a way create better chances for Chicharito. And also Samuel Granser, from the 15 minutes he played in the preseason, I don't know if you guys really noticed, but he was putting on a pretty good display, and he showed a little bit of what he can kind of do, and he's a bit of a creative player. I call him at the G30 podcast, I kind of call him Little Genie, but that's all I gotta say. Thank you.
Tim sparked my brain to, I think we're going to go back to seeing that. I mean, maybe about like 8 years ago, the counter, it's not going to be pretty. Like, I don't have any like fake delusion that like we're going to play like really pretty soccer, right? It's going to be ugly, defensive, 1-0, 2-0 wins, right? But I think we're going to go back to the counterattack, and I think that's going to be huge. And it's it's back to like the million questions, right? Can Graniser and Cabral do that? And I think that's a big if. But if they do it, it's gonna be interesting counterattacking soccer. And like maybe the focus is not Cheech. Maybe Cheech is a dummy. And I know that's not like the big fancy GaLAxy thing we all want, right? But if it's effective, it's effective.
Yeah, I kind of want to like go against your term, Nelson. But what I think, like, I see what you're saying, but I want to touch upon something that Chris said. It seems like Cheech can't buy a goal. Like, if he can't play the 9 normally, what makes you think he can play a dummy and create space for 2 wingers cutting in on both of their feet? It seems like Cheech, and I know it's going to sound a little bit pessimistic, but like, he's had a season here, and granted, he's had issues on or off the field, whatever it may be. It just doesn't seem like he's caught up with the physicality of the league. The reason Zlatan was able to get away with it because Zlatan is Zlatan Ibrahimovic.
I think that the biggest problem with Javier Chicharito Hernandez is that a lot of designated players that come to this league, they either get it or they don't. They either get that this is no longer the Premier League, that this is no longer La Liga or the Bundesliga, and they have to play down to the level of everyone else. And what I mean by that is Robbie Keane, right? When he came, he had to kind of play down a little bit. He had to expect the passes a little bit late. He was able to adjust mentally, and he fit into the game. He fit into the team. Javier Chicharito Hernandez is still expecting the type of service he was getting at Real Madrid, at Manchester United, and at Leverkusen, which is not going to happen, sadly, because we have we unfortunately don't have the cap space to sign a roster like that. So he still yet hasn't understood MLS. He hasn't fit into MLS yet. And unfortunately, it doesn't seem like he's learned in preseason how to do that just yet. Hopefully he does, and hopefully he can adjust his style of play. But yeah.
Hearing you guys talk, I am thinking of the phrase, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, right? Chicharito's been in Spain, in England, and in Germany, right? Chris hit it right now. You know, he's not getting the type of service or kind of attention that he got at those European clubs. And I think this season now, after having a full season under his belt, is kind of going to be to see if Chicha can adapt, right? Because everybody knows what he's going to do. He's going to be waiting in the box. He's going to pounce on goals when balls are loose in the box, right? So I think this season is really going to be if Chicharito can kind of change his game a bit, and also kind of see how helpful the wingers are in that procedure as well.
I mean, let me hop in. Like, I agree. I'm not, and I'm not like the Chicharito stan, you know.
Same here.
But like the movement, his, like, you see glimpses of it, right? Like the movement in the box. I'll die on the sword. The movement in the box created the Saldana goal, right? And like that's what we need from him. If he, like, it sucks because you want your striker to be a 16-goal striker, and I agree that he needs to have that to be successful in the way we want him to be successful, right? But it's a very different striker than we're used to.
Yep.
And it's gonna take. It's not gonna be pretty. But if he can do that movement, then, you know, like, we're discounting JDS, we're discounting Leggett, we're discounting Vasquez, right? Like, it's gonna be goal by committee. Like, I feel like we're having this conversation where we're expecting Cheech to have, like, do the Zlatan thing, and that's not gonna happen. It's gonna be goal by committee, you know.
I completely agree that it's going to be goal by committee, but the thing is just you look at his game and he doesn't do any one thing particularly well because he's so, for whatever reason, he isn't finding a way to reinvent his game. And when you get to that age, you're either with it or you're not. And we've seen that, like Chris had mentioned, like a DP that came here. Frank Lampard came and he got washed out of the league in how many years? Like two years, however many years he played here. It's the not being able to. Yeah, like not being able to teach a dog new tricks. But I mean, we could go on all day about this because I'm on the hill where it's like, I feel like his movement is great within the box. And I know he is not out and out number 9 striker like Harry Kane or Zlatan Ibrahimovic. He's not. But he's proven to break, like he broke records in the Bundesliga. Like, where did all of this ability go? And when did he start refusing to not adapt or, play to the level of the guys around him? And it sucks that we can't give him the service that he expects, but that is the situation of the LA Galaxy.
I think your last point that you said, that the service is not there compared to the other team. I know Chris said the same thing, but I think his movement, teaching an old dog new tricks, he is making the same movement that he's always done his whole life. There's the movement that he's doing now. If you look at all his tapes, that is the movement he does. It's just the service that we're not giving him.
For sure.
If you look at Real Madrid, Manchester United, Bayern Leverkusen, the same movement. The thing is now the spotlight's on him now.
Yep.
You know what I mean? You're having the new era of sports media, social media. Like, when you're winning, everybody loves you. When you're losing, everybody's going to turn on you. That's just the way the sports world is now. When you are the main guy in the biggest teams.
Yep.
And I think he wasn't used to that. He wanted that, and now that he's getting it, he feels the pressure more now than anything. And I think once he gets the ball rolling and scoring, and how maybe he's not trying to force it and let it come to him, the game will start getting easier, slowing down for him, and then he'll find out how to score easier for himself.
I completely agree.
I totally agree. He's never been the number one man. He's always been the backup that can score you a goal in the last 20, 30 minutes. He's never been that guy. So for him to be put in this position, but granted, he was put in this position last season, but it's just he's still not used to it because he's never been that. So it's hard to put him in that situation. But I'm hoping all for the best for him, to be honest.
I'm sorry. Okay, so before we move on, since Shapin came a little late, Shapin, would you like to have the stage to yourself and just say whatever you want about the topic before we move on?
Damn, Chapin getting all the love.
All the attention just for you.
What's up, Chapin?
What's up?
I don't think he's in yet. He has to raise his hand first.
Oh yeah, Shapin, you have to raise your hand first, and then I'll accept you, and you can hop in.
All right, guys, we can all go home now. Chapin's here.
Nah, hey, my bad, guys. Like, I can't really talk right now because I'm in the market right now, doing the duties. So that's why I'm just listening. I'm sorry, buddy.
Oh, okay, no problem.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll move on. But thanks for coming. And what we actually want to do is open the stage up for the audience to see if they want to have their say. So if anyone in the audience wants to, have their input, just raise your hand and I'll let you hop on. So Boom Boom Baxter, we accepted your request. So now I believe on the top right, you have to click accept. And
hi guys, first time, long time. I was just wondering, who are you most excited about being on the team this year? Thank you.
For sure, I can start with this one.
I'll take that one away. Okay.
I got it.
Thanks, Bax.
Oh, go ahead.
Thanks, Bax. No, Mike, go ahead. Mike, my brother, Mike, go ahead.
No, yeah, thanks, Bax. The one player that I'm really excited for is Kevin Cabral. I think the way he moves and the amount of physicality and pace that he can bring that we've seen through the highlights is really awesome. So if he can get off to a good start here and sort of adapt to the league, I think he'd be one of our best players at the end of the season.
Is that it? Okay, so for me, I'm gonna have to say Samuel Granster because I have such a soft spot for Drini because he was there in like the darkest times of our club, I guess you could say, and he was always there, and I can see that little spark in Granster, and he has that swag, he plays with that swag like on the field, and I kind of saw it in preseason a little bit as well. So I'm gonna say Samuel Granster, and I'm hoping he has that similar style to Drini or better possibly.
I'll go. I'll give some love to the goalkeeping position. I'm really excited for Jonathan Bond. I think it's been a while since the Galaxy have really had a quality keeper. Bingham was all right, but I felt like too many times his positioning wasn't as well. And like Chris mentioned earlier, Bond's just really vocal too. And I think he'll be one of the better keepers that our club will have. And he's quality during preseason. He's been really, really good. So I'm excited to see how he does this season.
Okay. So I want to move on to another topic. So if all you guys can leave the stage while I introduce it. So you guys brought up interesting points regarding the goal differential, and I wanted to hop on a question regarding adding a TAM player. If the Galaxy if they could sign one more TAM player, would you rather it be an attacking midfielder or a defensive stopper? So first, those that want an attacking midfielder will speak first, and then we'll have the defensive stopper group speak next. So raise your hand if you prefer an attacking midfielder, and I'll put you in. Okay, Nelson, would you like to start? Nelson or Chris?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah. So the question is midfielder or stopper?
A cam or a CDM if the Galaxy could add one more TAM player.
Cool.
Yes.
Okay. So as of now, that's really weird. So in my mind, like I'm like wired already thinking about next year. So I think that I'm already questioning the future of Jonathan with the club, right? I think his departure is going to dictate what we need. But this season, if we needed just like another midfielder, I would like a defensive midfielder just to reinforce that back line for everything we've been talking about, right? Like, we don't know that the goals are going to come. I myself said that I think we're going to have a lower positive goal differential. I would rather be respectable and not bleed 1,000 goals, right? So I think Vasquez is serviceable. I think Seba can do it. I think some of the kids can play. Maybe Efra gets up in there. I don't know. I think I err on the side of wanting more defensive reinforcement. So that's just me.
I think that if we were to go out now and blow our TAM on a center attacking midfielder, it would be kind of short-sighted, because it would be like plugging a leak. It would solve the problem now, short term, but as we know, long term, what we really need a DP center attacking midfielder, a playmaker. And I'm not just saying that just to say it. It's been proven in MLS in this era that we call MLS.
Wait, Chris, sorry, hold on. Right now, this is the group that would prefer to sign a TAM cam. It sounds like you prefer a center defensive mid.
Yes. So that's the point that I was going to. I think we should spend our TAM on a defensive midfielder.
Then wait for the next group.
Sorry, G.
It's okay.
Sorry,
It's okay. So this group is for Cam. This group is for Cam.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess I'll go then. I think when you look at what's happening to teams like Columbus and Minnesota, their success has come from players like Zel Ryan and Reynoso. I think these players kind of transform the team, and I think that's something that we're kind of missing right now. I don't think Leggett can be that player, so I'd go with attacking midfielder. I do think that'd be a good place to spend a DP spot on, but I think you could find like TAM player that's kind of under the radar, maybe in South America, that you could transfer in.
So I'm gonna say TAM for Cam, only because Fabio Alvarez. I know I keep going back to the past, but Fabio Alvarez was pretty much our strings in the midfield, especially during the derbies. That man would just outperform pretty much everybody. He would be setting up the goals for everybody. So he kind of like changed the perspective of mine. We don't have to get a DP Cam, even though I am open to it. But a TAM for Cam, and if he's young and if he has that ability, kind of similar to Fabio Alvarez or a lot better, I'm all for it. 10 for Cam, baby.
So how I view this is I think we need an attacking midfielder mainly because if you look what Vanney did in Toronto with Pozuelo, I think that you need to find a guy that Vanney can work on and improve that can score the goals. Because honestly, I don't think that Leggett is going to score the goals this year. I think that he's had a great offseason. He's done all the right things. However, when it comes to the season, I don't see him scoring the goals. Jonathan Dos Santos, he's going to be mainly of that holding midfielder. So who's going to score the goals in midfield? We need to find that out this transfer window.
I'm gonna go Tam for Cam because great points. You go get a Tam from South America that has not hit leaving Europe. You could get them in the middle of the pack of their Argentina league, Peruvian league, Brazilian league, and I think we already have some CDMs, in Saldana and Harvey. They are young. They are coming up. They are hopefully to be fighting first team minutes to back up Jonah. Or you could get an MLS player already seasoned. We had what was the guy Ring that left to Austin? He looked like a great CDM on paper, an MLS veteran. So I think we could use that money. Just you could find a CDM through MLS that could do that dirty work, and I think you cannot find that flair yet through the MLS product. Who knows if it'll be Efra? We're hoping that it will be one day him, but if not, you go get that flair somewhere else.
Okay,
I'm
good.
also on the boat for Tam on a cam player, even though what I want and what the team is probably gonna do is two different things. I personally would go and get a cam after Fabio Alvarez. We haven't really had a true cam, and even before that. So I think that would definitely help this team, help the attack. Have another attacking minded player to help Chicharito up top, feed him the ball when he needs it on the right time in the right space. But I think this team is actually going to go for a CDM, even though I would go for a cam.
All right. Interesting points. So, those that prefer CDM, raise your hand, and I'll send you to the stage.
All right, so I'm on the right side now, right?
Yeah.
So assume that you guys sign a TAM CAM this season. Usually you sign a TAM player, it's not the league minimum 1 year plus 1 year option, right? You sign a TAM player, it's a minimum of 2 years plus the option, which means you are now stuck with that player for 2 years. You can't sign a DP cam after that because you're obviously not going to bench a TAM player, right? So what I meant earlier when I said it's kind of short-sighted and it would be plugging a leak now, short term. Long term, we absolutely do need a DP cam. And it is proven in MLS since the dawn of the era called MLS 3.0, which is after 2014, that in MLS, in order to be successful and to be an MLS Cup winning team, you absolutely need a designated player cam, a center attacking midfielder. You look at 2015, you had that Portland Timbers team with Diego Valeri, right, who wears a number 8 for some weird reason, but he is a center attacking midfielder. He's that playmaker of that team. You had Seattle with Nicolás Lodeiro, 2016. That team was absolute trash up until Nicolás Lodeiro came over, and his presence alone, right, really took that team to MLS Cup and almost single-handedly won the cup for Seattle, right? I think he had like 13 goals or something like that, and since he came on midway through the season, and a bunch of assists. You look at 2017, one of the most successful teams we've ever seen in MLS was that 2017 Toronto team with Sebastián Giovinco in that position. Atlanta United, Miguel Almiron, one of the most dominating, most creative center attacking midfielders we've ever seen in the league. Seattle Sounders again with Nicolas Lodeiro, and you saw that last year with the Columbus Crew with Salarayan. So in MLS, you absolutely do not need a center defensive midfielder as a DP. You can be successful without one. So I would much rather get a TAM center defensive midfielder now, let Jonathan's contract expire at the end of this year, and then next year sign ourselves that designated center attacking midfielder that we so desperately need. And I know you guys are saying we can get a TAM player now for that center attacking midfielder position. You'd have to bench that player next season, and you're not going to get a Pozuelo for TAM money. You're not going to get a Jovinko for TAM money, or a Valeri or an Almiron for TAM money. It would be very hopeful. It's not impossible to do. That hidden gem can be found, but it would be almost impossible to do. So I think we should just be patient, sign a defensive player this season, roll with what we have, maybe sign a backup center attacking midfielder under TAM. Not TAM, I mean, and then next year really focus on getting a DP cam. That's just my thought.
Completely agree with Chris. We've done this dance already. We have slapped the offensive Band-Aid on over and over and over and over and over again. And it's cool, but it doesn't mean anything if you don't have a spine and if you don't stop the goals from bleeding. And with an untested back line, I think shoring that up with a CDM is huge. Get a CDM, let Jonah do his thing, let Seba do his thing, let the wingers do their thing, let it develop, and we can continue to build on a solid foundation if we have a TAM CDM now. So I'm completely with Chris on that. We need to shore it up now. It's not the sexy decision, but, I'd rather not bleed the damn goals, and have something to build on for next season.
Yeah, I completely agree with both of you guys. I mean, we conceded the most goals in the entire MLS last season. You cannot go wrong with more defense. And I'm also going to play off Chris's point as well, where we can do the scouting and we can find any other South American player that has a little bit of flair. And knowing all of us, me included, we'd go crazy for him. But once he doesn't give us the desired results that we expect out of a player that is supposed to contribute a lot in a struggling attack, he'd be the scapegoat, and then he'd be the next guy out of the many that we've scrapped and discarded throughout the years. I saw we were linked with the one Paraguayan kid. I'm not sure what his name is exactly, but he's a defensive mid out of Paraguay, where, I mean, like, why don't you give the guys who cannot do their job well and hold down the midfield a little bit of support? And I mean, you can make that same argument for the attack as well, where it's like, why don't you give Cheech, who is obviously struggling, some support? I just feel that those goals up top are going to come naturally, and I feel we are more prone now at this time that we need someone who can be a Perry Kitchen and just sort of dog and throw people around in the midfield and do that effectively. Because right now it feels like we don't have any of that at all. Granted, we do have Harvey, we do have Saldana, but I feel like an established TAM DM would be awesome, because the thing is, to find a DM that does their job well is a lot easier to find a TAM cam who can produce goals and shatter the league in the final third.
I know this sounds so cliche, and you guys have probably heard this like a billion times, the saying that defense wins championships, right? I really think that if we can really solidify that midfield area where we don't put as much pressure on our center backs, that will go a long way in having a very, very successful season. Like Chris mentioned, there's tons of players that we can scout to look for these flares and to sign as cams, right? But I really think that defensively, our team just kind of needs that to be steady throughout the whole season and just kind of have a reliable player where, he's going to do the dirty work, where he's going to be marking players, he's going to be going box to box, and where, he's going to be playing his heart out, being physical, like a Perry Kitchen type player, right? I feel like that's what this team needs to really step up and really start building that foundation to get this identity that we want to have by the end of the year.
Okay. I guess would everyone else join the stage if you have any last remarks before we move on to the next topic?
Great counterpoint. Got me thinking. But you have to remember, man, we're the GaLaxy. We got Zlatan on tap. So what makes you think we won't get other players on tap that in longevity it can actually help us out? Pozuelo is a DP contract in Toronto. Nobody knew who the Pozuelo is. So we have to, I guess, trust Greg Vanney's recruiting, because also Victor Vasquez was a key player to Toronto's success. It wasn't just Jovinko. I looked at a lot of the games because at first I thought, like, who is Victor Vasquez? Who was he to Toronto? And actually I thought Jovinko pretty much was stringing the game around. No, it was Victor Vasquez. Victor Vasquez put these guys in great positions to be successful. So I believe that Greg Vanney can find that TAM player to be our CAM. And he's wasted his DP on a CDM. Remember Michael Bradley? He brought Michael Bradley, Altidore, and Jovinko. So, I wouldn't be surprised if he wasted his DP money on a CDM and not a CAM.
All right. So when Greg Vanney, when he came here, he said that he wanted a project. He came to the GaLaxy because they were a project. And so basically signing a center attacking mid that is young, that has creativity and has limited tape, that would be a project that he can work on to possibly, and that athlete could possibly explode into a Pozuelo. I know it's risky, and I know it's very difficult to do, but I think what Greg Vanney's building can be very special if we were to go after a center attacking mid now, especially on TAM.
You have to remember something about MLS. We do have a salary cap, and the majority of teams, if not all of them, choose to spend most of their money on their offense, which sets it up perfectly for teams to be successful with DP attackers, because the defense is usually secondary or third in line with the spending budget, right? So that's why I keep saying it, and I know I kind of sound like a broken record, but in MLS you cannot be successful, and it has been proven you can't be successful and win an MLS Cup unless you have a designated striker, DP striker, and a DP center attacking midfielder. That seems to be the formula, because that's the successful formula when the rest of MLS has weak defense, right? So if you spend your DP money on defense, you're going to stop some goals from coming in, but the offense is going to be lackluster. It's really the way MLS is built. It's very top heavy, and the defense is secondary. So DP cam, guys, I'm just saying.
I'm gonna just say the only. Oh, my bad, Kevin. You want to go first?
Oh, go for it, and I'll go after you.
I just wanted to not add on, but to say this: the only DP money I'll spend on a center back is Sergio Ramos. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
I'm all for a DP being in your attackers. Like I know, to me it does sound good having Sergio Ramos at CB, but I wouldn't go DP on a defensive player. On a CDM, if it was my preference, I would go on a cam. But this is the thing: we did have a DP slot available, and the team didn't go after a cam. So do we know if these guys actually want to go after a cam? Or are they using Vasquez right now? Like, okay, we'll have him in cam. If we need Sebastian, he could fill in. And then maybe in the summer, go after a big name from Europe. Or maybe it's not in their plans bringing in a cam, just because they did have a slot right now. And we didn't, besides Jovinko, we didn't really hear any big name rumored to come to the team to play attacking midfielder.
I think you're on the right track there, Kevin, because if you look at all the signings that Vanney made this offseason, it's all young guys with the exception of one. and that's Victor Vasquez, who will be filling that cam position, right? So I think Vanney's plan is to bring Victor Vasquez as that band-aid, as that patch to patch that leak now this season, knowing that he probably won't be back next year, and knowing that Jonathan's contract is up next year. So I think the long-term plan for Vanney is to get a cam DP, and I would be surprised if that wasn't their next move in this upcoming offseason next year. So Victor Vasquez is the band-aid for now.
Yeah, this kind of goes back to this discussion we had to start off the pod about whether this was a rebuild or restructure, right? Like Chris mentioned right now, Victor Vasquez is that bridge to our next cam. And I really think Vasquez was primarily disbanded because I think Vanney is going to spend this whole season looking for that cam. Chris mentioned the formula to winning. All these teams in the past couple of years have had that definitive cam who's creative and really opens up things for their strikers, for the overlapping wingers. I really think that the next upcoming season we'll have our number 10 that will be cheering on, and that will lead us to even more victory.
Okay, Michael, you want to have the last word?
Yeah, I'm kind of having mixed thoughts of what Chris has said, what Total GaLAxy has said. And yes, you want to spend that big money on a DP cam. I think that's a good idea. I think that's what Dennis DeCloser should do. But as of right now, I'm having real questions about Lletget and the scoring goals in this midfield, because if we're assuming that the goals are going to come from Chicharito this year, and hopefully they do, then who's going to be that second goal scorer? And we're going to need that center attacking mid player. So I'm a little selfish here, thinking short term, but I think we need that cam as soon as possible.
Okay. I want to kind of switch gears a little bit. Maybe I'm in the minority, but we have a huge influx of GaLAxy fans. We have a lot of OGs. We have some from the David Beckham era, and we have a lot of from the Zlatan era. So, some of the OGs, they know the classic rivalry is LA versus San Jose. And then over the years, that kind of, dwindled down, and towards the Beckham era, where you could kind of sort of say the GaLAxy had a dynasty. Pretty much the whole West was rivals with the GaLAxy. There was years where GaLAxy knocked the Real Salt Lake out of the playoffs like back-to-back years, and there were times where Real Salt Lake knocked the GaLAxy out of the playoffs. And so that San Jose rivalry has kind of, hasn't had that significance lately, and it's sort of being replaced with El Tráfico. And so with MLS 3.0, quote unquote, there might be a possibility of, the Cali Classico kind of being replaced with the El Tráfico. And what are your guys' thoughts about that?
I could go. In my thoughts, it's our rival San Jose. For the things that we've done in those games, we lost an MLS Cup to them. We knocked them out of the playoffs when they won the Supporters' Shield. So I feel there's that history there. And to us, like our team, not the fans, because fans, I feel a lot of them still feel San Jose is that rival. But to our team, the team doesn't get up to play San Jose. To this current team, San Jose is not the rival. And maybe it's because there wasn't really crossover of those players that was their rival. For example, for San Jose gets up to play against us. Why? Because of Wondolowski and Shea Salinas, that they're still there during those times that it was a rival. And with us, we haven't had that crossover. Like one of the last players that was part of it was Jalla Van Dam. He's no longer here. And that bridge could have been Sebastian Lletget, but he doesn't really get up before that game. We always see him get up against LAFC. But I feel that responsibility to kind of let the new members of the team know, hey, our rival San Jose, that was Sebastian's responsibility, and he didn't do it. Coming from the other side, David Bingham, same thing. Every time they play San Jose, he was scared. Instead of being like, "Hey, I'm on this side of the rivalry now. Let's get up against this team." They never did. So I feel the culture in the club has not allowed San Jose to continue being our rival. And maybe with Gray coming in right now, maybe that could revive a little bit. But in my eyes and my thoughts, San Jose is our rival.
I would agree 1,000%, man. It's all about history, like you said in the beginning statement. We're talking about nearly 100 games that these teams have played against each other, right? You have the GaLaxy that's won 42 of those, and San Jose's won 31. I mean, it's not exactly a total smash. These teams have that history. The LAFC LA GaLaxy rivalry is all manufactured. It's all marketing. It was the networks that really pushed the rivalry on the fans. They did it for marketing reasons, right? Which is, it's understandable, but it's not organic. That organic rivalry comes from history, and the GaLaxy and San Jose have that history, right? And we never had that history, even with Chivas USA, which I know a lot of LAFC fans out there will say, well, we're not Chivas USA. That would be the equivalent of a San Jose fan saying, hey, listen, we have nothing to do with the San Jose clash, or a Sporting KC fan saying, oh, we have nothing to do with the Kansas City Wizards, right? It's part of your history. And the GaLaxy never even had that rivalry because it wasn't a matchup for the GaLaxy. They would just smack down Chivas USA back and forth. So the real rival is San Jose, and it'll always be San Jose.
I'll say this is reminding me a lot of the Lakers, right? Like the Lakers rival is the Boston Celtics, right? There's tons of history between Magic and Bird going at it, kind of like how the GaLaxy and San Jose have been going at it. And now, because of late, the Clippers have their superstars. They're in the arena. And like Chris mentioned, the media, all these networks, they're pushing this onto people, trying to create this. I feel for El Tráfico, I feel like it's more of LAFC fans trying to create the GaLaxy as their rival because they have no history. So with that being said, San Jose is a true rival.
I'm gonna agree with you guys completely, and in the spectrum of in the GaLaxy world, I'd consider myself to be more of a younger G who hasn't really experienced the prime of Wondolowski and Donovan and the LA GaLaxy San Jose Cali Clasico rivalry. For me, I understand historically that is our rival, and Total GaLaxy had mentioned just like Celtics and Lakers with Magic and Bird. For me, I haven't personally been to San Jose. I haven't traveled to San Jose. I haven't been to one of those Cali Clasico matches, even here at the stadium, at the Dignity. But for me, I would consider our rival as of late to be LAFC, or in my perspective to be LAFC, is because I've been lucky enough and fortunate enough to see them play at the Dignity. Didn't necessarily like my experience traveling to the bank as well, but being looked at and being seen as like an outsider in your own city, it made it a lot more personal to me, and it made it one of those things for me where I don't have that connection with San Jose. Like I got looked at and I got beer showered by like FC fans, I just have such a deep despise. I despise them so much, and I know we shouldn't be giving them attention, but it's one of those things where it's the the Michael Jordan meme where he's like, and I took that personally. When I got looked at by all those FC fans, I was like a bad guy. I was like, oh, I have this newfound fire in my heart to be like, I don't like you guys.
Exactly, and that's where I'm coming from. I'm a young G, so I don't really I'm not gonna say I don't understand, but I wasn't really there for those moments where San Jose really pitched away to be our quote unquote our rivals. But I think that LAFC is kind of, I know they don't have a past history, but I think right now they're creating that history because think about it. Our first game had one of the top three players in the whole entire world was Zlatan Ibrahimovic, and he completely changed that game. So I think as of right now, I will say LAFC is our true rivals because as of right now, they're creating that history. They're creating that hatred between like these two like clubs, and that hatred is real. It's through Twitter, it's through IRL, it's through everything, even through the media. They try to push it like crazy, but I know the media will exaggerate things, but like it's true. We do not like those guys at the other side of the pitch. It's insane. But yeah, that's all I gotta say. Thank you.
I'll go with our true rivals is San Jose. Because of our history, their history against us. And, you guys brought up the Lakers, Celtics, right? They have history against each other, right? Meeting each other in championship games. Who has more titles? You can say the Dodgers versus the Giants. Same thing. All the history, they come from New York, both of them. Now they're both Cali teams, NorCal versus SoCal. So that history between the G's and San Jose, like, it's for me as being an OG one type, not 96 OG, but that history has to stay with us. That's important to us. And I think Greg Vanney is going to bring that up to the team because they have failed us in those games. I have traveled to go watch them, have 50,000 people against our little group up there. Like, the hatred I had up there has nothing compared to what I felt at the bank. At the bank, I look at it as my little brother wants my attention. I'm your rival, but you're not mine. So whatever. I care less about them because I think I pay more attention to either San Jose or Seattle because Seattle is actually the last decade been controlling this Western Conference. They're trying to erase our dynasty that we had with the Beckham, Landon Donovan, and the King. After that, it's going to be talked about them, nobody else. They've been in 4 championships, 4 out of 5, something like that. So they have my attention. Like, hey, every time Seattle shows up, I'm like, fuck, man, these motherfuckers are good. And they don't like us. Fuck, they really want to kick our ass. Even when we go up to them, up to Seattle, they put us in like the 3rd layer of the damn stadium after the Xbox tarps. You know what I mean? So for me, the original viral and is always going to be San Jose. If LAC wants my attention, so that they need to win something. We met them once in the playoffs. That's nothing. Doesn't mean nothing if you don't win the chip.
Yeah, Manny brings a good point with Seattle. I think we can all agree that the LA Galaxy are the gold standard of the MLS. And it's kind of interesting having some OG fans and fans because I feel like I'm kind of in between because I started following the team in 2010 when the dynasty did start. And I noticed, the San Jose rivalry, but I also noticed that every team that came to Home Depot Center, StubHub, now called the Dignity, they gave the Galaxy 100%. Like every team, they went hard on the Galaxy, extremely hard. And PC in the comments mentioned something very interesting that I think Seattle organizationally are maybe the only team that can compete with the Galaxy because they're in a big market. They have owners that are willing to spend, and they've done a good job sort of creating that dynasty. Like maybe Seattle is a viable rival, but maybe they're a bigger rival than LAFC, perhaps. I don't know. I'll just leave it at that. Oh, someone wanted to.
Some of you younger G's out there may or may not know this, but the San Jose rivalry really seemed to kick into overdrive back when Landon Donovan signed with the LA Galaxy.
Yeah.
As you'll remember that Landon Donovan was originally with the San Jose Earthquakes, and if I'm remembering this correctly, he was there for their first 2 cups. And then 2005, Landon Donovan signs with the LA Galaxy, and all of a sudden he became public enemy number 1. So every time the Galaxy would go to San Jose, the fans were just nasty, really, really nasty, which just really, really added a lot of gasoline to that fire. And ever since then, it's been like that. It's just been like that. And I mean, you feel it a little less now, but that to me is still the true rivalry.
If you haven't felt it, take that 6-hour bus drive with us. Go up there, hang out with G's, and have 50,000 people not like you.
All right,
Because
Manny,
you
I'm,
have
I'm about to be in your
Bro, I'm about to
DMs,
hop
bro.
in that bus
because
so
you have to
quick. I need
remember,
to feel
sign me
that
up for
shit,
that.
bro.
you have to
Um,
remember, we're the only game that they take us to a football stadium. Everybody else they play at their home. Only us, they take us to their football stadium so they can sell out. Because that's what we do. We're everybody's rivals. We sell out everywhere we go. And that's the only game that they play at the Stanford Stadium. Because they want to sell those 50, 60,000 and then give us those 500 seats. So get on the bus, take that bus drive, and then come back if we win or lose, because we haven't won there lately, and come back and see if you're happy, if you don't like them no more.
Offx, would you like to have the last word before we go to our potential final topic?
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hey, so yeah, my name's Victor from Countercult. What's up, everyone? I'm gonna give you who I think is our rivals, just based on teams that I hate the most. I think it's San Jose, Seattle, and then LAFC. And then for the same reasons that you all mentioned, that it's been the responsibility of some of our players to carry over that rivalry of San Jose. While we've kind of failed at that. I think in San Jose it's very much alive, and to Mandy's point and some of your other points, their hate for us is still very much the same. It might be waning on our end, and I think going forward, I think the El Trapico has all the makings of being, our game, our rivalry. It's not there yet, basically it's just, the history isn't there yet. I think it has the makings of it, and I think giving it 10 years or so, I think LAFC will be our bona fide rival. But as of right now, I think I'm just kind of repeating everyone's point, is that right now I think San Jose is our rival based off of history. They still very much hate us. They take us to a football stadium. They boo us for 90 minutes. Some of those games in the mid 2010s, early 2010s, with when San Jose had the Bash Bros with Lenhart and Gordo, and like those games were crazy. You think back at Mike McGee's goalkeeper stint, and it's like those games were just wild. And those games would go in 90 minutes, and San Jose would win a lot of those games in the last 5 minutes or last couple of minutes, or even in injury time, which always really pissed a lot of us off, I think. But then also, I think Seattle's also a big rivalry because, again, during that same time, I kind of saw Seattle as being our playoff rival. It was always so sweet to see our guys go to Seattle and get the job done over there, or vice versa. And I think for now, I think San Jose, Seattle, and LAFC are our rivals in that order. But I definitely think that LAFC and El Trafico will be the our rivalry as a dynamic, both off and on the field changes for many different reasons. I think that will be the rivalry. But that's just my 2 cents.
Thanks. Everything LA. Do you have anything to say?
Yeah, so I think you guys covered everything. But one thing that I know is a controversial topic, especially through last year in 2020, it was how many matchups do we have to have with LAFC and San Jose? I know last year we had 3, or I think it was 4 matchups with LAFC, and this year we have 3 matchups, which brings into a whole new debate whether they're killing the rivalry or not. So I think that hurts the rivalry overall. But obviously, San Jose is our original rival, and LAFC is our future upcoming rival.
I'd like to say too that even in this age of social media as well, where you can tweet out stuff, put stuff on Instagram too, and with MLS wanting to really push and really market and make money off of this derby that they're trying to create, I really feel like that's what's really going to propel the LAFC LA GaLaxy rivalry in the future. It won't really be based on history or players leaving to join the clubs, like Landon Donovan did. So I really think these next couple of years we'll just see it just more be like kind of like internet hatred, if you get what I'm saying.
World Star pretty soon.
Yeah, more Twitter fingers than like actual like.
Yeah. All right, you guys got what I meant.
All I gotta say is you guys gotta hide your coolers, man.
No, dude, it was bad, man. Like honestly, I really hope, like Manny said, like I'm about to hop on this bus to go to San Jose. But it just being there in that situation, like I had never ever felt like an outsider in my own city, you know? And being told and being raised a GaLaxy fan, being told that we are the gold standard of the MLS, going somewhere where it was like we weren't being like very well receptive. It was such an interesting perspective because that's probably the only away game I've been to for all the teams that I support. So I think it gave me an interesting perspective.
Okay. I kind of want to do a little lightning, and or I guess if you have a last thought, you can say it, Manny, before I go to the lightning round.
I was gonna tell them, just go to any away game. They hate us everywhere. Everybody hates us. Don't worry about it. It's just not here and at the bank. You go to Houston, they hate us. You go to Seattle, they hate us. You know, no matter where we go, they hate us. They're gonna hate us tomorrow in Miami when we take those 3 points.
Houston definitely hate us.
Okay. So for this lightning round, I'd like to invite everyone on the stage that would like to participate, even the non-podcasters, the non-Instagram GaLaxy news feeds. I think this will be kind of a fun segment. And as you guys make your way through your stage, try to answer these questions in as little words as possible. You know, try to make it fun. So, you know, the season hasn't started yet for the GaLaxy, at least. Where do you guys see them, you know, finishing the season? When I looked at MLS.com, you know, they had them finishing anywhere from 3rd place in the West to 8th place, but 8th place was actually a very popular choice. Do you guys have any thoughts?
I'm honestly not really surprised, just because there's a lot of questions going into the season. Chicharito, is he going to bounce back, right? How is this defensive line going to hold up, right? These new players, Granzier, Cabral, how are they going to perform? I'm not surprised that we're kind of in that lower position. And I feel like this season's the year to really answer these questions and really show what we can do, right? We've euthanized, we have younger players on the squad, and we're going to have a lot of growth. I really believe in that. So I think this year it's all about proving the doubters wrong and just telling MLS, don't ever underestimate us ever again.
I'll say 4th, 5th place.
Chris?
We're definitely making the playoffs. That's for sure. This team just has too much talent on it. And I know we've said that before in previous years, but I do trust Greg Vanney to get us at least to the playoffs, whether that means in that 7th seat, you know, but I think the GaLaxy gets into the playoffs this year. Don't see us anywhere near the top of the table unless we, you know, really, really show something that we didn't see in preseason, but I don't think that'll be the case. I think it's playoffs at the very least.
Okay.
I'd say, sorry, I'd say probably 5th, 6th, or 7th. There are a lot of like unknowns. I think if a lot of things go right, we can potentially finish higher than that. I also think we can finish in a similar position to last season if the same things go wrong, like the injury problems and, you know, just players not being able to score. I also think the loss of Pavone is a big deal. So I guess we'll just see what the new signings can bring.
I'm going to go ahead and say 8th place. We barely don't scratch our way into playoffs. Like barely, by like a hair.
I say we're playoff bound, but we're going to stay right tight in that 6th place spot. I got faith in this team because Joe Tatino really changed my perspective on this team. If y'all didn't hear that episode, y'all should go check it out. But yep, playoff bound, baby. Let's go.
I agree with this team being playoff bound, and not just that, we'll go a step further. I think we're gonna play a home playoff game, so that I think what that makes us top 4. We haven't had a home playoff game in quite a minute, so I think this is gonna be the year that we will.
I might be the most optimistic person here, but I think we finished third. And I've just gone through the whole roster of all the Western Conference teams. I just don't see a lot of the teams having the depth that we do and the coaching experience that we do. And so I don't think we're gonna have that bad of a season.
Okay, so the next question, if you guys didn't know, Chris is actually, the big stats man. He does a pretty good job doing data analysis, and what he did was he took the top 10 goal scorers from the last 6 seasons, and he averaged out how many goals they scored per season. And so the top 10 goal scorers in the MLS, the total average goals that they scored was 16.6 goals. And I would think, Chicharito, he fits in the top 10. He should be in the top 10 in scoring every year, probably even top 5. So, quick thoughts. Will Chicharito go over the 16.6 or under 16.6 this season?
I say he gets in under. I say he gets in around 12, 13 goals.
I'd say under 2. Probably around 13, 14.
I say 10. He hasn't really shown much improvement in preseason. I mean, he's looked better, but he hasn't put in any goals. So I say 10.
I'm gonna go with 15.
I'm gonna go with 12.
I would go ahead and say anywhere from 10 to 12 as well. Even though 16 is the mark, I don't see him getting 16.
Hey, I was gonna say, are we betting money on solid numbers or what?
Hey, we probably should.
I'm down.
I'm down.
Yeah,
I got 12.
start the
$5
pool.
bucks,
Start the
what?
pool. Start the pool.
We have to
Over
go with a
under.
solid number.
Over
None
under
of that.
16.6.
There you go. Yeah.
I think everyone's going to go under.
Everyone's taking under.
No, everybody has to take a number between 10 and 20. If you're less than that, then that's your own bet. Minus 10.
Okay. So next question. The Galaxy are eligible for 3 U22 youth players because Cabral is a young DP. Would you like to see them sign 3 U22s this season or spread it out?
I'd say spread it out. I feel like Cabral, like very earlier on in this Podcord, Chris said he's an unfinished product. You don't get any player like him as a finished product. And I feel that we can assess his progress and then make a decision as if we want to bring in more guys that we feel we can develop on, like we're doing with Cabral. So I'd say space it out.
I say you sign maybe 2 of them, or at least 1 in the summer. You can kind of see where the team's going, evaluate it, and see what you need. Then maybe I think you can sign 1 or 2 at the end of the season, just so you kind of know what to get based off of the season.
I'm going to say you're going to wait on the summer to see what signings are available and what's going to happen with Jonah. If we're a mid-table team and other teams are interested in them, I think we might sell, because there is a player out there that it's within money reach of the LA Galaxy. He is a top world-class player, and Cristiano Ronaldo. So you might need to go get those young legs if you bring him, so they can run around in the middle.
Everything LA?
Yeah, so the only way that Greg Vanney would mess up his tenure here at the Galaxy is if he was to sign all 3 of those youth DPs at once. And so if he doesn't spread it out, then it might be a long wait for the next head coach.
patience is key to success. So I really think Vanney should really take a second to wait and really take moments to evaluate the team and see what you really need and what positions, especially, you need more youth in. So I'd say just wait.
I'd say wait as well, but I think you should make a push to sign some players in the summer. I think that was the plan, but I think if we do sign those players in the summer, and if they're very crucial to our starting 11, and they're proven to be crucial, I think we could make that final push into possibly a third place spot if the signings turn out the way we want them to be, and if Greg Vanney, figures out how to play them in that system.
Any last thoughts before we go to our final hot take? No? Okay. So Julian, for our last hot take, I think this is a good one. Julian Araujo has been one of the, academy or homegrown players that have flourished in the first team. It's been a while. I personally can't recall anyone that has done it. Maybe like a few draft picks have done well, like AJ, but I don't really remember any good players or academy players. Maybe like Villarreal had some moments, but he was injury prone. But do you guys have any predictions on who will, be the next breakout young player this season?
I have my money on Cameron Dunbar. I really loved him during the preseason. I really hope he gets a lot more minutes. I think he's really smart, makes great runs on the attacking side of the ball. And I just really hope that Vanney gives him some more minutes this season compared to last year. We saw him in the MLS's back tournament, and that was it for him. So I really hope this year he gets a lot more time on the pitch.
I think it'll be. Go ahead.
No, you're good, man. You go for it.
I'm gonna go ahead with Saldana, but I think that he is gonna get some minutes because we don't know how Jonah's gonna be with his injury prone, international breaks, international duty. I think he might get a couple of minutes, so I think he might win a little bit more based on what we saw in preseason, and we see him already traveling with the first team.
Yeah.
So and I think that our product of homegrowns has actually worked out. We would have more homegrown players if we didn't let them go to Europe.
I agree with Vanney on that. I think Adam Saldana's got a bright future with the team. And like he said, he's already traveling with the first team. Things that we've seen from him in preseason, he looks like he's a player that's far more mature than he is at 19. And we've seen that with Julian Araujo, right? I mean, he's the same age as Efrain Alvarez, but he's been miles ahead as far as development. And I see that with Adam Saldana as well. I see that with Jalen Neal too. So it's going to be very exciting to see him.
Yeah, I'm going to go on a limb, and it's one of my younger guys that I like on the squad. I'm going to go ahead and say Augie Williams. I feel like if Cheech doesn't start producing the way we want him to, I feel like Augie could see some time. And I feel like he'd fit in very well with the young front three that we plan to employ this season with Grandisser and Cabral on opposing sides of the pitch.
For me, I'd say they're. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, bro.
All right.
Go ahead.
I'd say it's either Dunbar, Saldana, or Neal. All three looked great in preseason. Dunbar looked good last year during the short time that we saw him. I think they all have potential to do that. I think the following season, I think Cuevas. I saw his goals, his free kicks. They looked really good. I heard he was good for G2. But I don't think he'll be playing this year for the first team. So.
For sure. And for me, I'm going to say Cameron Dunbar, just because he's a Carson kid. Got to rep Carson. He's doing a really good job. He's very mature on the ball. He's fast. And I'm going to also say Johnny Perez, because when he was given those minutes, he performed pretty well. Mikey and I kind of like butted heads on the goal on the first preseason game because he said it was lucky, but I think it's really good timing, and I think it was a really hard going for a risk. But I'm going to say Johnny because he has definitely proven that he can play in the MLS.
I'm gonna throw a name out there. Koreniak. He's body type already ready to play. He did good last season.
Oh yeah, dude, for sure.
You know what I mean? He's ready to go. He played good in preseason. I think he's fighting for minutes. If if Gonzalo doesn't do his, I think he's on the top tier other than Dunbar, to get those minutes in. I think he's ready to go to fight.
Yeah, every time Kai's gonna come on the field, he's been a difference maker.
We actually had him for a Q&A, and he told us that he's definitely hungry. His goal is to get more minutes this season. Micah, who's your prediction for, the young gun that's gonna shine?
And I think Vanney's real high on him. I think Jalen Neal, he has a chance to really break out this year. I think he's going to receive some minutes, especially off the bench at that right back role whenever Julian Araujo is missing. For example, tomorrow you're going to see Jalen Neal probably come off the bench. But I see him developing into a really good star and possibly be considered to move to Europe in the near future.
I also want to add in Josh Drack because he had some also solid looks in preseason, so I'm hoping he gets some first team minutes soon.
Okay, well, if there isn't any more thoughts, I'd just like to thank everyone who participated. Thank you, G30, Communi-G, Chris, Total GaLAxy, everything LA Galaxy, and Straight from the Stands. Even though they didn't come, they were willing to, but Rudy, he's not feeling too hot. And thank you, Bloppy and PC. This today's actually very significant. This is our first Podcord, and we'd love to have more. And actually, we reached over 1,000 members on our Discord. So I think that's kind of special that for this event, we also reached a huge milestone in the Discord and in the GaLAxy community. So I just want to thank everyone who came to listen, and to the G community with the media, the podcast, and the news for coming along.
Yeah, thank you everyone for joining. We really appreciate it. I thought this was pretty cool. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, man. I wanna say thank you personally to G-Man, Bloppy, PC, all the other people that manage this Discord. In the short amount of time that you guys have been in active Discord, you've become now, don't be too modest to admit it, man, but you guys have become one of the largest communities of GaLAxy fans online, but the largest LA Galaxy Discord online. So that's a big accomplishment in such a short time. You guys have put in a ton of work, so it's very appreciated. I want to say thanks to the other guys that came on from the different podcasts. I listened to you guys faithfully, man. It's good to take in different opinions, different takes. I mean, we saw that tonight here, right? Firsthand, that we all disagree on certain things. We agree on other things. But at the end of the day, we're all G's. We all want those 3 points. We want our boys to succeed. So we're just a big community, man. And I'm really, really humbled and privileged to be part of it. And thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, I wanted to give a big shout out to G, Bloppy, and PC, and everyone that contributes to this awesome Discord. For the year or two that I've been growing to be more active in the GaLAxy community online, I feel like you guys have made it such a great space for everyone who wants to get involved with supporting the Gs and continuing to show their support for them however they can. So yeah, I appreciate you guys for having us, the G30 boys. Thank you gratefully. And hopefully we can get back on here and do this again. This is awesome.
Yeah, to go on what he said, I'm just glad that we have this Discord to connect with other Gs out there. I really want to be more involved in this community and really I feel like I belong here. It's just nice being with all you guys talking about the club that we adore, and it's just great to just talk about this, have our Podcord with other podcasts and news Instagram accounts. So yeah, just thank you so much for this opportunity. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I would like to say thank you guys for inviting us, on behalf of me, and I'll talk for Chapin. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's gonna say thank you for all the kind words you guys give to him on our podcast. And just like you guys listen to us, we listen to everybody as well. We support everybody, and this is what about, supporting each other, our GaLaxy community. We agree, disagree, but like Chris said, we all love our G's and we all want them to win, and we all try to give each other our space where everybody can be represented and actually express themselves. So thank you for all of this, and thank you for the invitation.
Yeah, I want to double down on what Manny says. Just big thank you. G-Man, you've been a big supporter of us since we got started, and you've backed us up. Also, Chris and Timmy and everybody here, same thing. The ones that we haven't had, we definitely want to have you guys on Communi-G, so we'll make that happen soon. But very, very thankful for you guys giving us this platform today.
Yeah, just wanted to say thank you and good night. Definitely, everyone should plug their socials, because we have a lot of new members and they may not know who you guys are. So definitely plug those in the Discord, and we're always here to support you.
Eso, papá. Y mañana vamos a agarrar 3 puntos y va a ganar el GaLaxy, ¿o qué?
El más grande.
Well. Hey, if you guys go to any viewing party, you guys can catch me with Kevin and Chapin. We're gonna be at the Sunset Room in Hacienda Heights. You guys catch us up. Chapin's saying no to. He cannot say no to any shots you guys give him. So
se va a poner bien pedo el Chapin.
Yeah. So I'm driving, so you guys can drink water. Look at that. I don't know where not Chapin comes back in. I thought you were at the market, fool.
So yeah, take offer shots to Chapin, and then me, Kevin, say what's up. I'll give you some stickers and stuff like that. But yeah, Chapin, all the shots that you guys could give him.
And so I'll be at Springbok, guys, if you guys want to stop by and say hello.
I'll make sure to take pictures of Chapin when he's a little bit not doing so well. So and I'll post them on the Discord.
We got to make a special tab for that. Good night, bro.
Yeah, good night.